guys, welcome to another episode of the Film Pundits. We are here to review the second episode of Gotham, the new Fox series that stars Ben McKenzie, Donal Logue. As usual, we're going to give you guys our initial thoughts on the episode, followed by spoilers, and then we're going to wrap it up and give you our final thoughts. So
that's what we do.
Oh, by the way, my name is Adam Hlavik, and I'm joined here by Eric Bratley. And if you forgot who we are,
that's who I am.
So Eric, why don't you start us off and let us know what you thought about this episode?
It was okay. I don't really know. This show seems like it's kind of got a vibe to it, like a soap opera. The more I watch it, the more I kind of think to myself, some of these people are overacting a little. Some of this stuff is a little ridiculous. Some of this is a little meh. So I kind of like the first episode more just because I was like, okay, it's the first episode. I kind of forgave it a little bit more because I'm like, it's a pilot. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's supposed to really pull me in. It didn't necessarily as much as it should have, but I still had hope for it. But I don't know. Seeing a second episode, I was still a little disappointed. Yeah, and I mean, some stuff happens, some interesting stuff, I guess. Kind of some actiony stuff happens, but I don't know. I was just left feeling a little disappointed by it. But yeah, what do you think?
I wasn't crazy about it.
Okay.
I kind of have the same feelings like you did. I feel like the problem with this show is that it doesn't really know what it's doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's introducing us to characters, but nobody has any direction. In the first episode, Gordon and Bullock are trying to solve the murder of the Waynes. This episode, you're introduced to a side story that I don't know whether or not it's going to pay off or if it's just one of those episodes like villains of the week type of things. We're introduced to a new set of villains, which I just Lily Tomlin's the guest star, and for some reason it felt like the 1960s Batman show, like very satirical. I just I didn't really care for the episode all that much. We got to the episode's called Selina Kyle. We spend 5 minutes with her.
Yeah, you're like set up thinking, okay, this is going to be all about Catwoman. We're going to see a lot of her. Yeah, we barely see anything of her. She barely says anything. She's like kind of important to the story of the secondary story. I mean, I guess this is the main issue that's going on in the episode, but she still doesn't do much for it. She still barely talks. She still doesn't share her really important information that she knows. It's like the same thing as the first episode, except she says a couple things. It's kind of weird.
The one thing that I kind of enjoyed was seeing Bruce. Bruce was like the one part that I thought was kind of entertaining. Not entertaining, but it was interesting to see how he's slowly starting to evolve and deal with his parents. He's really trying to push himself and challenge his inner demons to really face fear and conquer fear. But I still feel like it's too early to be doing that. Like those are things that Bruce Wayne did in his later youth, in his later teens before he went off to become Batman. So
and it's strange because like the way Alfred talks about him and like the way that he says, oh, his parents give me specific instructions about what to do with him. It feels like everybody knows he's going to become Batman. It's really weird. They're all treating him in a way where it's like, he's just a normal kid who had rich parents. And all of a sudden, like, he seems like
he's like a messiah or something.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. He's just a normal kid that had wealthy parents. That doesn't make him anything special whatsoever other than a rich kid. Like, but all of these people are treating him like they know he's going to be Batman. And it's really weird the way it's written. Like, it just takes me out of it, and I'm like, this doesn't make any sense for what's actually going on in this world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, with those initial thoughts out of the way, let's get into some spoilers. And it's so weird because with this show, I feel like even with spoilers, I don't feel like it ruins anything because there's no continuing story. Like we review The Strain, that's a continuing story that takes place over the course of 12, 10 plus episodes. This is just like. If you tell anybody what happens in this thing, it doesn't really affect the story one bit.
Oh yeah, I mean we're kind of left on a cliffhanger at the end.
Yeah,
but we didn't get the information, so then we can't. That's not even spoiled. So yeah, essentially this whole episode you could listen to, and it's not going to spoil anything from the past episode. Well, kind of from the past episode, I guess.
But if you haven't seen it by now.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's tough. It's tough to say, what really matters is a spoiler. Because, coming from reviewing The Strain, where it's like, even though, we kind of have some negative gripes about things that happen, overall, it seems like the episodes are still solid. Whereas this, it seems like they're kind of struggling throughout the entire thing. So it's a weird, different sort of type of way to review the show. But yeah, I guess we'll get into sort of just talking about the stuff that happens in the episode. So if you'd like to skip this and go to the end where, get rid of all these spoilers, go ahead and click right here on one of these posters. I don't know, in the poster area.
In the general poster
in
area.
the postery area. And that'll go ahead and take you to the end of the video where you can just watch our wrap-up of what we thought about the episode. So we're going to go ahead and get into spoilers, and we start off on Bruce, and he's testing his tolerance for pain, essentially, holding his hand over a candle flame, and he's just holding, and then, ow. And then Alfred walks in and catches him, like, what are you doing? And, like, yells and freaks out.
Stupid boy.
Yeah, like, freaks out about it, and it's like, oh, my God, this is weird. Okay, whatever. That's how we open. And then our next scene, we cut to a bunch of homeless kids and sort of just sitting there around a fire, and up pulls this food truck. And the people get out, and they're like, hey, we're part of the mayor's homeless outreach program. We're here to give you food. You guys look hungry. Come on over. Come on. And so Selina Kyle's sitting there, and we're like, okay, cool. The episode's called Selina Kyle. Obviously, she's going to be important in this episode. Something cool's going to happen. And she's the one that sticks behind and waits while all the other children go and start eating sandwiches. And then out of nowhere, this lady just pulls this pin out of her cloak and starts jabbing it in these kids' necks. And it's like, what the hell is going on here? This is so weird. And they see Selina Kyle just standing there watching this whole thing happen, and they don't really seem to care. And then the third child manages to, like, fight off the lady and run away. And then this other homeless guy comes up, tries to stop it, gets shot, and just straight up murdered by the guy that was with this crazy woman. And then the guy chases after the kid, tackles him, throws him through a restaurant window, and then leaves him.
Yeah, he leaves him there.
Yeah, and it's like, what in the hell is going on? That entire scene made no sense. I'm like, this is crazy.
They're essentially abducting children, but
Yeah.
the way it was played out was just kind of, it was all over the place.
Yeah, it was not done well.
Yeah, and you never really see them capture Selina.
No. Oh,
So
yeah.
You don't know what happens.
I mean, you're just supposed to, I just figured, oh, she kind of got away.
That's
but
what I thought, yeah.
They didn't even seem to make any effort to try and find her. It seems like they kind of want to cover their tracks, but they didn't even care.
Exactly.
And yeah, so really weird. And then we flash to when Gordon and Bullock show up at the crime scene. Or Gordon is just there first.
Yeah.
Sees the homeless guy. Then Bullock shows up with a coffee, says, I got you one, but I dropped it. Oh, well, you don't get a coffee now. And then this other idiot cop shows up. He's like, oh, well, this homeless kid got thrown through a window down the street, and I was there helping them out. And then Gordon's like, well, this is more important. It's a potential murder suspect, not just some random kid. And he's like, but they pay me $50 to keep an eye on their restaurant.
I got a family to feed.
So it's like, oh, well, good way to remind us that they're all crooked again, show. We didn't remember that from last episode. It's like, really? We got this slapped in the face
that's the one
with
thing
everything.
with this episode. It beat you over the head
Yep.
that all the cops in Gotham are crooked. It's
Yeah.
like, at some point, it loses a little bit of, like, credibility where I'm like, okay, literally every cop is crooked.
Even like the police captain.
Captain Essen is crooked.
Yeah.
The mayor's crooked. The one thing that I liked in The Dark Knight was that you didn't know what cops were crooked.
Yeah.
In this show, literally every cop is crooked.
And it's just like expected of you. It's like, oh, you're a crooked cop too. Cool. We're all
and they
crooked
tell
cops.
Jim, they're like, you're not crooked enough. It's like, what?
Yeah, this is really weird. And then, which doesn't make any sense. So it's like, then why would he ever try and do anything good? It's like, why do any of them do anything good? They're all crooked. It doesn't make any sense. Like, you can't have a police force where everybody is bad. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's like, why even have Gotham PD in it then?
Yeah. It just takes away all the drama of, oh, there's bad people. If every single one of them is bad, it doesn't
If Jim
matter.
Gordon's the one guy trying to make a difference.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, he is a lot like that in the comics where he's the one guy who's really trying to stand up for what's right, and he doesn't really find an ally till Batman comes along.
Mm-hmm.
But this is kind of ridiculous.
It is.
To me, it's too many cops. I mean,
yeah.
if the only two cops that I feel like are the least crooked out of all of them are Renee Montoya and her partner.
Yeah.
They seem to be the ones that are kind of, they got their head on straight.
But
And
they're
trying
like
to
a
do the
whole
right thing.
different thing,
But
right?
yeah, they're MCU. They're not
yeah.
GCPD.
No,
So it's
yeah.
like, God, the whole police department is just...
Yep.
Anyway.
And so then we're left with this one homeless kid who was thrown through the window, and Bullock is interviewing him.
Raven's brother from That's So Raven.
Oh, is that who he was? Oh, man, that's funny. And so, yeah, they were interviewing him. Bullock doesn't believe his story. And,
Bullock just wants to beat the shit out
he
of
just
everyone.
starts threatening the kid, like, I will beat you up until you tell me the truth.
Yeah.
Like, I don't believe your made-up story about this giant pin that this lady's sticking people with. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Which is weird because Donal Logue comes off as a very, like, loving, caring person.
Uh-huh.
So to play this kind of a character, it almost kind of, like, throws me off.
Yeah, and it just, once again, is like a thing that makes me feel like he's overacting. He's too bad. He's too evil. It's like, you're overdoing it. It's just like Mooney. She's totally being overdone, and at the same time, not the right personality for a character like that. But we'll get to her in a minute.
We're just jumping all over the place.
There's so many things going on. So Bullock is sitting there hounding this kid, and Gordon comes up. He's like, hey, man, you can't do that. He's just a kid. He's 16 years old. And he's like, well, you didn't seem to have a problem when you offed Penguin the other day, essentially, like rubbing that in his face, like, oh, don't you forget that you're a bad guy and you did something bad. And then, it's just
he's like say it any louder, why don't you? I'm like, everyone there is crooked.
Yeah, even the captain knew that you did that in order to, like,
who are you trying to protect? So, why are you protecting yourself?
So, like, all these things, they just make no sense. They make no sense, and it's annoying. And so, yeah, we're left with that. And then, we cut to Penguin.
Well, first, before we cut to that, the kid tells them to question Selina, to question the cat. So then they're kind of not really on the hunt to find her. But they want to know what's happening.
So then we cut to Penguin hobbling down the street. Like a penguin. Oh man, don't tell him that though. He'll be mad. So then he's sitting there hitchhiking. And another thing that makes no sense, these douchebag guys in their car pull up, mess with him like 3 times, and like pull away just as he grabs the door handle.
And then give him a ride.
And then they give him, it's like, why? Why would you, like, poke and prod somebody and then be like, never mind, we're going to be your friend.
Yeah.
Come on in, buddy.
We'll give you a beer while we're at it.
Yeah. And then I'm just like, what the hell is this? This doesn't make any sense. And then they're just talking to the guy. They seem pretty friendly, and Penguin's all excited. I have new friends. You guys are my buddies. Until they say, oh, it's kind of funny. You walk like a penguin.
You ever heard that before?
I've never heard that before. And then all of a sudden he murders him.
Yeah, he breaks the beer bottle and slits one of the guy's throats and then hurts one of the other guys.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I absolutely could not stand that whole time in the car ride was his dialogue.
Yeah.
Holy shit, who talks like that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
It's ridiculous.
And just like you weren't raised by like some high royalty. You were raised by a bunch of gangsters.
I mean, his mother talked weird also, kind of.
True.
It's a weird family.
It is. So I mean, in that regard, yeah, I get it. But I mean, it's a little. It's like I said last episode. It's a little too theatrical.
Yeah, it is.
It needs to be toned down. It's like Jim and Harvey are the realistic characters, and everything around them is theatrical.
Yeah,
it's like
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, the villains and everything are just too much. They need to get toned down.
Yep, and that's the biggest issue I think I've seen so far with this also. And so then we cut back to Bullock and Gordon, and they're talking to the captain, and they're telling her what they were just told by this homeless kid. Like, here's his story. I don't know. It seems a bit far-fetched. And then we see Edward Nygma, kind of hiding through the blinds, and the captain just says, "What is it, Nygma? Get in here." And he's like, "Well, he has this in his body, this toxin." I'm weird.
This show should have just been a comedy.
I know. It's so much.
It would have worked
ridiculous.
better. It would have worked better just being like a 1960s Batman style comedy.
Yeah, they can't decide what their theme and what they're trying to do is because it's way too wacky and weird to try and be as serious as they're kind of trying to make it. So he comes in and says, "Look, there's this chemical in him that knocked him out," and then all of a sudden everything seems valid, and they're like, "Oh, all right, well, maybe this is the thing." They used to use that at the old Arkham building, but that's not there anymore. So where are they getting this? Obviously, it can't exist if they're not using it in Arkham anymore.
Let's beat you in the head with Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, man, are they throwing that at us? And it's like, oh, cool, yeah, now we got that also. Whatever. And then after that, we cut to a scene where Falcone comes to visit Mooney and just straight up says, "Hey, dead people, people that are gonna die, they know they can tell the truth. And your buddy, Penguin, what's his name? Pot.
Mario Pepper?
No, Penguin. What's his
Oswald
name?
Cobblepot.
Oh, Cobblepot. Yeah. Cobblepot came in. He told me you're looking to take over my thing. You think I'm old and you're trying to get me out of the way. That's not going to happen. And then she's like, oh, I swear I didn't say that. Oh, I look up to you. I admire you. You're my hero. Blah, blah, blah. Obviously, bunch of BS. And he's like, oh, I heard you got some boyfriend. Oh, just this guy I exercise with?
Yeah.
It's like,
Heard you have a lover. Yeah, use him for exercise.
yeah, what the hell? And obviously he knows who it is because the guy's all winky
Yeah.
and doing all these little... It's like, are you kidding me?
Your wine,
It's
sir.
everything so over dramatic and theatrical. It's ridiculous. So of course he grabs that guy, beats him up. We don't know. Maybe he kills him. Who cares?
Yeah.
Doesn't
you
even
see
matter.
her all teary-eyed, which I'm like, I don't even care.
Yes, and then she freaks out and screams at everybody. Get out! Ugh. Wah! Who cares? I don't care. Nobody
Yeah.
cares.
And the thing that like really bugs me about it is
Mhm.
that could be a really cool character.
Yeah.
She could be a very dark, scary character.
Yeah.
But the way she's written, she's just too theatrical.
and-
I don't buy into it.
Yep, it's just like the next scene we see with her. She's sitting there talking to her assistant bodyguard, whatever that
Yeah.
guy is. They're sitting there at the bar, and the entire time she's delivering her dialogue, I'm like, no, she's delivering this in the entire wrong way. She's too whiny and dramatic about it. She should be angry and dark and serious, but she's not. It's just way too, I'm going to get him, and he's going to be mad, and this and that. It's like, no, you're not this slithery snake. You're an evil beast.
You're not Catwoman.
No, you're not. Stop talking like that and be a mean villain that you kind of are supposed to be, but you're not. But, ugh. Yeah. So, after we have that scene where she freaks out, we cut to the detectives, and they're talking to Penguin's mom. And she's sort of describing, oh, my son, he's an amazing person. I don't know where he is. He always comes home.
Which to me, that scene was like, what the hell was the point of that scene?
So weird.
It was like you're just there talking with his mom and
Yeah.
Montoya and her partner, and you're like,
Yep.
okay, and what's the point?
Yeah. And so she's just describing, oh, my son is amazing. It must be one of those whores, one of those nasty girls that have him held up somewhere. It's like, lady,
I'm sure he's struggling.
if your kid's with a girl, you should be ecstatic because he's a creeper. But she's like found this picture that must have been photoshopped 300 times where he looked like a normal person, and that's what she's kind of grasping and holding on to. And it's just like, all right, whatever. We realize she's delusional, and these these two detectives, they're not going to get very far with her. So then we cut to that terrible scene of acting with Mooney after that we just talked about. And then we cut back to Cobblepot, and he's pulling up to this guy's, like, trailer park area, I don't know, in the car that he managed to, I guess, get from those other guys, and asked the guy, hey, I see you got a trailer back there for rent. Which it's like, this seemed like a road off in the middle of nowhere. Where did you see this trailer was for rent? Were there signs out on the main road? Like, you're just driving? I don't know, whatever. So he finds this trailer, goes to rent it. The guy starts asking about the car and gets closer, and then Cobblepot realizes, oh no, there's bodies in the back seat. Let me block this guy's view really awkwardly and make a scene that's definitely not he doesn't seem to care about, whatever. Yeah. And then that's all we see in that little scene. And then we cut to the orphans who were kidnapped earlier, and they wake up in a room that looks like it came straight out of the set of Saw. It's just dark and dank with pipes
I
everywhere.
thought they were in Arkham Asylum.
Yeah, and it's a giant hole to nowhere that, like, it seems to be endless in the deepest hole in the world, and it's like, what is going on here? And yeah, we get that little glimpse of them. And then we cut to Gordon and Bullock, and they're talking to Mooney, trying to figure out from her if she knows anything.
That was completely ridiculous. I hope y'all ain't still mad at us. I can't be mad. Like,
Yeah,
what the hell? You just tried to kill them in the last episode.
The second I told him to kill you, I kind of felt bad about
Like,
it. Oh my God.
If I was Jim Gordon, I would have just shot all of them.
Wouldn't that be great? That would make this show
would've
so
just been
much
like,
better.
Fuck this. I'm out of here.
Yeah. And so she doesn't really seem to give him much. But yeah, she sort of sends him on her way without much information.
No, another useless scene.
Exactly. And then
to
we
just
cut,
reintroduce us to them having
Yep.
some sort of a friendship or
Yeah.
whatever.
and then we cut to Gordon talking to his wife, saying, "Oh yeah," kind of telling her what happened, and she's like, "You should tell the papers," and he's like, "Well, I can't tell the papers because of this."
Yeah.
All right, well, I'm gonna go tell the paper. Oh, joke. Oh, you're so funny. Oh, you're actually calling them? Oh, you're telling them? Oh, I'm just gonna stand here.
Yeah. Oh, you're gonna try to get yourself killed by all means.
Yeah. So yeah, she calls, tells him, and then we see the next day, the mayor is freaking out, the captain's freaking out. How did this news get out? Blah, 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 blah. We look weak. Who cares?
Yeah.
Worthless. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, Captain suspects it's Bullock, and he's like, I would never rat out on my own case. Da da da. Asks Gordon. Gordon's like, I didn't do it.
Yeah.
And then they finally find a lead.
Yeah.
In the case.
Yep. They figure out, that only a select few places have that ADP or whatever.
Yeah. There's
drug.
3 of them.
Yeah, and so they show up right as the two kidnappers are kind of about to kill the guy that works at that shop who's holding on to those kids for them.
Yeah, and supplying them.
Yeah, they walk in and he sort of starts asking for more and getting greedy, and so they decide they're going to just do whatever, and of course Bullock and Gordon show up just in time, and
they have a little argument outside of the door about Gordon's girlfriend.
Yeah, but all of this stuff, it's like, okay, then all of a sudden the lights are out. They're in a shootout, and then it's just like all this stupid stuff is happening, and in the chaos, the 2 kidnappers escape, and it's like, what the hell just happened? It's like the lights were out, bunch of bullets were shot, a bunch of stuff was shattering, and then everybody's gone, and it's like, where did they go? Where was that car they were in? That wasn't, we didn't see that. It's like everything just keeps happening real quick, and it's crazy. It's really tough to tell what's happening. And so then, the owner of the shop is like, tells his little janitor buddy, hey, go take care of the kids, clean everything up. So
as there are 2 cops in front of him.
Exactly. So, janitor buddy walks back there with a gun about to kill all these kids, and Gordon shows up just in time, shoots him straight in the chest, and then saves all the... And
he goes into the pit of Carcoon and dies.
Yeah, and you just never hear him land. So it's like, okay.
He goes into the underworld,
He's
apparently.
in China now. He's just on the other side of the earth. Who knows?
And this whole time... You don't see Selina at all.
Oh yeah.
And then later on,
she's walking. Well, no, actually, that was when they were rounding up all the homeless kids.
Oh well.
Yeah, I thought about that also because they cut it in a really weird way.
Yeah, they cut in a way that made you think like Selina was in that place the whole time with those people.
Yeah.
Then getting transported out. And it's like
because right after that scene happens, we cut to a scene with the mayor where he's like, "We're gonna clean up the streets. We're gonna get these kids into foster homes, and we're not gonna help them out."
Up cattle.
Yeah. So essentially, he's like, any ones that are clean and look fine, they can go to foster homes. Any ones that are troubled, they're gonna just go upstate and be in a child's facility essentially. And it's like, whatever, just throw the kids in there. Who cares? Doesn't really matter. So of course Gordon doesn't like that, but what is he gonna do about it? Not much. So he walks out, and then he's told, "Oh, there's a guy here looking for you. It's Alfred." Alfred's upstairs. He's like, "I need you to come and talk to Bruce. He's troubled. He's hurting himself. He's doing all this. He's
tea time tomorrow. Yes,
yeah, tea time." He's like, "All right, sure, why not?" So then we cut to a little scene of emo Bruce, and he's sitting there listening to his screamo music on his headphones.
Which to me was very weird.
Yeah.
I can't picture Bruce Wayne listening to that kind of a music.
No,
I picture Bruce Wayne, even as a young kid, listening to, he was raised, like the way he was raised, he would be the type of kid who listens to classical music.
Yeah, like Mozart.
Yeah, he's sitting there listening, like letting his mind kind of process things, and he's drawing, not demonic things, but he's drawing kind of like dark things, which that part doesn't bother me, but I'm like, he's not going to be listening to any dark, crazy news.
Yeah, especially if they're going with the fact that he's trying to toughen himself. Like, he should be like focusing on clarity and clearing his mind and toughening himself.
And
like that's what classical music. Yeah, rock music that makes you angry and bitter, and that's like maybe they're trying to show, oh, he doesn't know what he's doing. Who cares? Yeah. It's too much. Don't bother. Become a better show first, then worry about trying to do stuff like that.
Then worry about Batman.
Yeah. And so we got that little bit of scene. And then we get Selina Kyle trying to, as she's being pushed onto the bus, she's trying to talk her way out of it. Like, look, get me Gordon. I need to talk to him. He knows me. He needs to talk to me. And the lady's like, oh, well, you're not going to tell me who you are?
Which he doesn't know her because he's never met her before.
But he knows he's looking for Kat, right? Apparently because of the other guy. She's like, oh, Jane Doe, get on the bus. So, she gets on the bus, talks to this kid about, oh, you know what? When you get there, go for the eyes. And don't talk to nice people, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? That scene's never going to come into play ever again. Who cares? It doesn't matter. In come the kidnappers, and all of a sudden, they're the bus drivers. And it's like, how did that just happen? It's like,
how do you get clearance that easily?
yeah, it's like, okay, it I don't get it. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's like
It's so inconsequential at this point. It's like moving on.
it's like the people that made this were like, oh, you know that cool scene where Joker like had a school bus and he like did all that stuff. What
We
if
need one of those in
Yeah,
our
let's have
show.
a school bus and like all of a sudden somebody takes one over. That'd be cool, right? No, doesn't make any sense. So yeah, they grab the whole bus of children and they take them to a shipping container yard. And they herd all the children off the bus.
You know what's actually
But-
really funny about that?
What?
After we watched yesterday's episode or the last episode of The Strain
Uh-huh.
and like that whole incident at the shipping yard, I was
Yeah.
just like, what is happening? Am I watching the same show overlap in
it's
two different universes? What's
Uh-huh. Yeah, and so we get this whole scene where they're herding all these children into a shipping container, and they're counting. They're like, "Oh, we seem to be short one based on the what we
The
had before."
manifest, yeah.
Which, we forgot to mention that when the kidnappers show up on the bus, Selina immediately recognizes them and tries to escape out the back. The lady comes up with a gun, points it straight at her, and says, "Sit down, young lady." It's like, okay, you would recognize if that girl never got off the bus. You would know. She was the only person that made a fuss, and you recognized her. You looked at her. This is like the third time you've seen her. You should know by now who this girl is. And yet they still don't notice that she doesn't get off the bus. And then this is the weirdest, stupidest scene I've ever seen. In broad daylight, in a school bus, this lady cannot seem to see a kid who had her head completely popped out over a chair when she walked in the bus, and then managed to duck, get under the seat, get out, get above the seat, get back under the seat. And it's like, this lady's, you are blind, lady. How do you not see this girl
You blind
sitting here?
and stupid.
Made zero sense. Absolutely none. They filmed it in a terrible way. It made no sense how she was not able to be seen. And then she walks past Selina Kyle. She runs out of the bus real quick, gets underneath the bus, makes all this noise. The lady hears all the noise and just says, it's nothing.
Well, not even that. When she
What?
gets out of the bus,
What?
the other people are all standing there rounding up kids.
Yeah.
Not one person saw her leave the bus and hide underneath the bus.
They're
What?
just doing things in the show, and they're expecting people
they're-
to not.
Yeah, well,
ask
and
any
they're like,
questions.
oh, it doesn't matter. We have enough kids already. It's
Yeah,
like, what? This kid can escape, and you'd be screwed.
yeah. So ridiculous. And yeah, so she manages to escape somehow. And then all of a sudden, they only realize something's wrong because this guy walks in with his eyeballs mauled out of his face. And it's like, damn, Selina Kyle got dirty. She just went straight for the guy's eyes. And the lady's like, oh, don't worry about that. We're going to get you fixed up. Click. Oh, no. And the guy's like, what was that? As she shoots him in the head. Which I kind of thought that little scene was kind of entertaining.
Yeah.
But if it was a comedy. Like, they're going too funny with a lot of this stuff, and it's ridiculous. And so then she realizes that something went wrong, and she goes in search of Selina Kyle. And then in this giant shipping yard full of a ton of boxes, all of a sudden knows exactly where to go to find Selina. It's like 2 seconds ago you couldn't see her a foot away from you.
You couldn't see her in front of you on a
broad
bus.
daylight in a bus, and all of a sudden you know exactly where she is behind these boxes. Ridiculous. So walks up and of course turns the corner really quick, and she's not there. And then a necklace falls out of the sky, which also makes no sense.
It was in her
It was in a
pocket,
pocket
zipped
this
up.
way. She would have had to be upside down for that to fall out of her pocket. And also, she was already standing up on the boxes by the time the lady got there, not climbing anything anymore, so it doesn't make any sense for it to fall at that point. If it was already on the ground, it still wouldn't make it. It was stupid.
Yeah.
Terrible scene. And then the lady looks up, sees Selina Kyle up there,
Just points
the gun at her, and Gordon shows up just in time to save her. Oh, my freaking God. This is so terrible. It's so bad the way they're writing this. They are putting no effort into it. No effort. It's just scene after scene.
I think
of bullshit.
whoever's writing the show needs to pick up a goddamn comic book.
Yeah, it's so
Read Gotham Central,
annoying.
please.
It's so annoying. But yeah, so Gordon runs in and saves her just in the nick of time. And yeah, it's just sloppy writing, and they need to get a handle on that because things just keep happening, and it's really strange. And so after that scene, we cut to Gordon talking to Bruce. He starts talking to Alfred first. And Alfred's like, look, he's hurting himself. His father, he told me, like, let him become who he needs to become. So he can't go to any psychiatrist. He can't talk to anybody about things. We have to let him. It's like, what? like a psychiatrist, they're there to kind of listen to you and help you, not like guide you and tell you exactly what to do with your life. This is weird. It's a weird scene, and it just it's like they know he's going to become Batman, and that's strange because they shouldn't know that, and there's no signs that that's what he's going to become. And then Bruce walks in. He's like, "Look, he's trying to tell you that you need to talk to me and talk me out of this." But
you stop creeping up on people, boy.
Yeah,
I'm just
and he's like, "I'm testing myself. I'm trying to become."
You're 10.
Yeah, it's weird.
What are you
it's
gonna
a
do, start a
weird
revolution?
Scene. And then he just talks to Gordon. He's like, "I saw what you did for those kids. I want to help. I want to give them money." He's like, "Well, money won't really help." "Well, then let me give them clothes."
Which that part, honestly, I didn't mind because at least it shows like an endearing side of Bruce. That I was like, okay, that feels very Bruce Wayne to me. Like that to me is like something that Bruce would totally do. But where he's like, "I'm testing myself," I'm like, nah, be a kid.
Yeah, it's weird.
You need. I think he needs to be mourning. He needs to feel lost. He needs to feel like he doesn't know what he's supposed to do.
Yeah.
And I feel like now he's already trying too hard to try to be something, and it's like you're not there yet.
Yeah. And so that's where we're left off with Bruce. And then we got Selina Kyle, who's told them to just call her Cat, and she's at the police station, kind of giving her a report, I guess, and they're gonna send her just right back upstate. And she's talking to the cop like, "Look, you been upstate?" He's like, "Yeah." She's like, "Then you know that I don't want to be there. Get me Gordon." And he's like, "No, he's not gonna talk to you." And she's like, "I'm gonna tell him you touched me. I'm gonna scream in 3 seconds. You got 3 seconds." So the guy gets up, goes to get Gordon, and that's where we leave her. We cut to Penguin real quick. And Penguin's in that trailer with pictures of Falcone and Mooney, all these sorts of stuff, everything just up on his wall. And he's on the phone, and he's talking to somebody, and "I got your son. He's here. He's kidnapped. Give me money for him." Essentially, he's holding this kid for ransom.
Yeah, one of the guys, the driver who survived.
Yeah.
He's holding for ransom. He's talking to the mother.
Yeah.
And the whole time, the mother does not buy into anything.
No.
And the way he made it sound was like he had already sent like some kind of a ransom note or something.
It just seemed like the kid was like a troubled kid, and the mother didn't care. I think that's sort of what it was.
What they were going for, yeah.
Yeah, but it was weird where it's like he was totally out of control of the situation. It's like the mother just didn't care and was like, "I'm not going to give you any money for my kid." Because he was like, "Oh, 15,000 is too much." Oh.
Hello?
Okay. Well,
Hello?
It appears she didn't believe me, and I guess we're led to assume he's going to kill the guy now. Like,
I don't know what he needs him for.
Yeah, it's weird. It was a stupid scene, but we got that. They should have just let us assume he killed both of them. I think that would have been fine. We didn't need this scene, but I guess it showed that he's not as strong as he thinks he is because he's not even able to get ransom. But whatever. And then we cut back to Selina Kyle, and she finally gets a chance to talk to Gordon right at the end of the episode, and she's like, "Look, I got information that you want as long as you don't make me go back to upstate or go to this, place where they're going to hold me."
Juvenile facility, essentially. It's what it is.
And he says, "Well, what do you got?" Essentially, and she says, "Well, I was in." Oh, well, she says, "I saw you with the kid." "What kid?" "Bruce." "Yeah, the kid. I could tell that you care, and you're the one good cop here." And he's kind of like, "Oh, good, you could tell. Like, awesome, I am the good cop. I'm really cool." And then she's like, "I was in the alley that night. I saw exactly, clear as day, who killed the Waynes."
You didn't see shit.
End of the episode.
You didn't see shit.
The guy had
He had a hoodie.
No.
He had a mask. You didn't see a damn thing.
Unless you can see in the dark and you could see his face.
And you're Superman. You have X-ray vision. You can see through his clothes.
Yeah.
You didn't see a damn thing.
So I have no idea how she managed to know exactly who this person is, but we're left to believe that she does. But yeah, that's how we end the episode.
I think my favorite part of this episode is the title sequence when they just show Gotham.
Yeah. A couple great shots of Gotham in there. Those were really well done.
And it sucks because I really want to like this show. I love Batman. Batman is one of my favorite comic book characters. And granted, it's not supposed to be about Batman, but I love the mythology and I love Gotham City. It's such a big, dark, twisted city with so many crazy things going on.
Yeah.
And I like Ben McKenzie as Jim Gordon. I like Donal Logue. I like the cast. It's a really good cast. I just don't think the writing is up to par with what it needs to be in order for the show to be successful and have longevity. It's like, again, we have Edward Nygma. He's he reminded me of Jim Carrey in Batman Forever, that type of Edward Nygma, just satirical, this like kind of I don't know. And same thing with Lily Tomlin's character that she played, the villains in the episode.
Mm-hmm.
She was just ridiculously like cartoony.
Yeah.
It's cartoony.
Mm-hmm.
That's really, they could have just made this an animated series and had those actors do the voices.
Yeah.
And it sucks because I was really looking forward to the show, and it's only the second episode, so I'm gonna stick with it for sure, and hopefully it'll just slowly start to evolve into what I'd hope it would be, like an NCIS CSI type of like crime drama.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah, to kind of wrap up, it's just like, yeah, it definitely has a lot to go before it's a good show. It has its okay moments, but overall it's too dramatic. They haven't locked down the feel of what this show needs to be, because they seem to flip-flop way too much on how they want their characters to act and how they want their characters to deliver dialogue. And it just doesn't make sense. We're flipping around too much between silly jokiness and like extreme violence and all. It doesn't pick what it wants to really be, and that's the most aggravating part. And seeing all these things happen in a universe where we know it can. There's been so many good Batman-related things, and to see something that's sort of really sloppy and not as good as it could be is just a little disappointing. But hopefully, it could get better. We are only 2 episodes in, but you would hope by the second episode that it's no longer pilot. They should be getting their stuff together to make it into the best show it can be. So, I'm hoping I can make it through this whole first season of it. It's like I'm 2 episodes in, and I almost want to just stop watching it.
Just wait. In a month, I'm going to be here by myself reviewing this show.
That might actually happen. But, it was not a very good episode. I'd give it like, out of 10, like a 3. I don't know. Maybe that's a little harsh. Maybe a 4. No, 3. I'm giving it a 3. It wasn't that much good stuff. So it was disappointing. What did you think?
I think I'm going to give it a 6. I definitely I did like the pilot more after watching this episode.
Yeah.
And like I said, I want the show to do well. I don't want it to fail. And it sucks because they're on Fox, and everybody knows the history that Fox has with a lot of shows that maybe start out a bit slow and then they pick up and they start to get really good. They get canceled, and I don't want the show to get canceled. I want the show to go and have 5, 6, 7 seasons, but it really needs to flip around. It needs to not focus so much on introducing every villain in Gotham City that came after Batman. It needs to focus on Jim Gordon. It needs to focus on GCPD. It needs to focus on the criminal underworld, and them really. It's essentially it's a war between Gotham City Police and the underground crime unit, and that's what they really need to focus on for the show to be good. Let's keep the Wayne story definitely like a big arc, the overall arc of the first season. Let's see where we can take that. And I don't mind seeing Bruce Wayne show up in the episode every once in a while, but I don't want him to be such an integral part of the show. Let's focus on Jim Gordon and Harvey Bullock. Those should be the core. Those should be the foundation of the series.
Yeah.
I want those 2 characters to be like the most important characters in that show. So I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10. It's a little higher than what you gave it, but I think our feelings are pretty mutual on how we felt about it. So yeah, that's about it. That's gonna wrap it up. Like we said, we hope the show gets better. We want it to get better. If you liked it, let us know. Yeah. And let us know what you thought and where you think we were wrong with our review, because it's not just about what we have to say about it. It's about you guys and what you have to say about it.
Yeah. If you liked it, tell me why I'm wrong.
Exactly. We want to know. We want it to be a conversation, a good dialogue about this show. And we really want to hear everyone's opinion about the show, because I know there's people who love this show, and we want to know kind of your perspective on it. So leave us a comment below, share the video, like the video. Follow us on YouTube, youtube.com/thefilmpundits. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter under The Film Pundits. And Eric, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Thanks for the View with a 4 in the middle.
And you can find me under all social media just under Adam Havoc. Thanks so much again for watching, and we'll see you guys next week. Good night.
See ya.